Hello students, welcome to Prudential Business. So students, today in this video class we will be discussing about the various factors that are affecting the fixed capital requirement. So the concept of fixed capital requirement comes from where? This is actually a part of the investment decision. Now what is investment decision? Investment decision is the second major decision of financial management. Okay. So under financial management we have learned in our previous videos, we have learned about the first decision of financial management, that is your financing decision, right? And also we have discussed about the various factors that are affecting the financing decision. Okay. And the second major decision is your investment decision. Under investment decision, a particular company choose their appropriate project where the amount of funds so collected in the financing decision will be invested. Okay. We have also discussed about the various factors that are affecting that investment decision. Now this is something different. This is the factors that are affecting the fixed capital requirement. Now you see, investment decision, in our previous slides we have already discussed that the investment decision will be of two types. Number one will be a long-term investment decision, or this will also be called as your capital budgeting decision. This point number one, that is the long-term investment decision, will also be called as your fixed capital investment decision. Okay. And the next part, point number two, is your short-term investment decision or working capital decision. These types of decision, that is the second points decision, will require the investment in those activities where the funds are meant only for a shorter period of time. Shorter period of time, that means less than 1 year. And the first one, that is long-term investment decision, that means investment in the fixed assets of the company. So if a particular company choose to invest in the fixed assets, then it needs fixed capital. Okay. So how a fixed capital will be required? What are the factors that a particular company has to remind? What are the factors that a particular company should consider while choosing a particular fixed assets or to be invested? Investment in fixed assets will be called as your fixed capital investment. And how much capital do you require, or does a company requires? What are the factors that should be considered? Let us see these points. Okay. So the first point is the nature of the business. Nature of the business can be only of two types. There are nothing typical it is. Nature of the business, it can be your manufacturing organization or your industries or your trading organizations or industry. See, manufacturing industries are those industries that will be engaged in producing. They will be buying huge amount of raw materials. They have got big machines. They will process those. They needs to store this. They needs to transport this. So for that purpose, for manufacturing organization, they require investment in a huge amount. They need to purchase huge assets, be it your machineries, be it your transportation charges, be it your storage facilities. So for that purpose, they require huge amount of investments. Okay, for manufacturing organization. And the other one is your trading organization. Trading organization is simple. In cases with trading organization, they usually buy from their suppliers the finished products and they sell to their customers by taking a lesser amount of commissions on this, or by increasing their amount of selling price, which can be more than the cost price. So in the trading organization or concerns, the requirement of fixed capital is subsequently lesser than the requirements of fixed capital in the cases with your manufacturing organization. Okay. Next point is the scale of operation. Scale of operation, that means the amount of your money or profits. That is also called turnover. That means a business, how much money it is able to turn over or it is able to generate within what particular period of time, right? That is called the scale of operation. If the scale of operation is more, then the turnover will also be more. If the scale of operation is more, that means what do you have to understand? That means the activities of the business is also more. So for that purpose, to have a larger amount of activities, they needs a huge amount of fixed capital investments. Okay. Next you see, choice of the techniques of production. There can be two techniques of production. Number one is your capital intensive and number two will be your labor intensive. Capital intensive means what? That means that the organization is deploying more amount of funds in the cases with buying of machineries or going more and more technically advanced. So that will be called as your capital intensive. That means they are relying more on capital, okay, and they are relying lesser on human resources. And next part is your labor intensive. Labor intensive means they are deploying more amount of money in the cases with your labor. Whenever a company choose or an organization choose to be labor intensive, then the investment in fixed capital is less. Investment in fixed capital will be more only in the cases with your capital intensive programs or companies. Okay. And next is your point number 4 is your technology upgradation. This is one of the business environment. In business environment we have studied this. It can be your political environment, it can be your technological environment, it can be your economic environment. So this is one of the effect of the business environment. Here you see, if a company choose to upgrade their own technology, then it needs to invest that. It needs to bring sophisticated machines. So for that purpose, it will require larger amount of capital. Next you see, point number 5, that is the financing alternatives. Here you see who is going to finance us. Okay, financing decisions we have learned. Under financing decision we got that there will be two types primarily, that can be your debt and equity. Here you see availability of the point number 5, financing the alternatives, availability of the appropriate sources of finance at lower and easier terms reduces the deployment of fixed capital at one particular time. If a particular company choose to finance its fixed assets by taking a loan from a bank or by issuing of equity shares, that will be easier, and the repayment period will also be easier with a lesser amount of interest. Then the company can choose this because it will reduce the one-time deployment of fixed capital in that particular assets. Okay, so that will be only for one time. If a particular company choose to invest the entire amount of money in one particular assets at one particular amount of time, then because of the lack of certain financing facilities, then in that case the company will require higher amount of fixed capital. Okay, so that is the point number 5, financing alternatives. That means the ability of the company to get easier loans, to get sophisticated loans. Sophisticated loans means repayment period is more with a lesser interest. Also the repayment period, if it is so slow, also if it is sophisticated, also if it is easy, then the company will require lesser amount of fixed capital investment in that particular assets in that particular period of time. Okay, so that is about point number 5. Come to point number 6. Here you see level of collaboration. In the cases with a level of collaboration, it depends how far a particular company is able to collaborate with others, or how far it is able to sign memorandum of understandings with other companies. Because if a particular company does a business in partnerships or under agreements, then their capital will be shared, then their assets will be shared, then their liabilities will be shared. Okay, so for that particular purpose they will require lesser amount of fixed capital. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. Next you see point number 7, that is diversification and growth prospect. Here you see diversification, when we mean this is a broader term. Diversification, it can be done in 2 phases. Diversifying their own business in their existing line of product, that will require lesser amount of fixed capital. Okay, this will also be called as your growth prospect. Okay, next, or diversification in a different line of product, that will require a huge amount of investment. Because when you diversify your own business in separate industries, in separate company, in separate products, then at that time you need to deploy sufficient amount of funds for establishing that new particular product. So that these are the various factors that a particular company needs to consider while choosing their fixed capital requirement. The fixed capital requirement are those amount of funds that will be invested in the fixed capital of the company, and this is meant for a larger period of time. Okay, so that's all about today's video. I hope you have liked the video. Please stay tuned with Prudential Business for the next part of the financial management. In the next video, we will be discussing about the third major decision of financial management, that is your dividend decision. Thank you very much.